Hi, I'm Daryl Crow. It's Monday morning and it's time for another one of our weekly tips on painting. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we got a question in from someone who asked about how they can carry their art supplies because they were starting to feel like a pack mule. And if you've ever taken a bunch of supplies to one class after another, it's easy to see why with all of the supplies we have to carry. Now, what's really exciting is that we can become a pack mule trained when we become instructors. Because, you know, some of the classes we have to carry all of the supplies for an entire class. Now, I teach at a few senior centers throughout my local area, and one of the things they like to do is just come in, sit down, and walk away with a beautiful painting. So I have to bring all of the supplies, and I'd like to show you exactly what supplies that I feel are necessary, because my class sizes are limited at the senior center to 15 students. Now we have precisely 2.5 hours in some of the classes, 3.5 in others, but it is very rare to have more than 3 hours to teach a class. So you want to make it simple. You want to get your supplies in as quickly as you can into your vehicle. You want to get them out quickly. You want to be able to unpack them and be able to set up for that classroom in as little time as you can, because you know, time really is money. Okay, so as an instructor, I like to check things out. So the night before I go teach at a class, I'll spread my supplies out on a table, just like this. Let's take a look. For me, I require some paper towels, and I generally have 4 brand new rolls, or the equivalent thereof, whenever I go to a class. And then I also have to have masking tape. I use the masking tape to tape down the paper palette for each of the students, as well as a plastic bag for trash disposal. I also bring a sturdy tube wringer, so I can move the paint from the bottom of the tubes up to the top. And generally, I always have a couple of sponge brushes just in case something happens and we decide to use gesso, black, white, or gray, or yellow, or lavender, whatever color gesso that we'd like to use. I also have back here 15 easels. Since I'm supplying up to 15 students, I'll bring precisely that much supplies. Now you'll notice this is a granny bag, and in here I just take the shopping bag, plastic shopping bags that I get from the grocery stores and everyday shopping, and I collect them and I'll put them into my supply list as well. Okay, moving over, you'll see what looks like fishing tackle boxes. Okay, let's just take a look at this for a second. This first one is my whatnot box. And basically it's whatever's not paint and not brushes goes in here. And I'll just show you briefly what it is. I have my medium that I mix. I have medium cups. I have pens, write our names down, sign checks, very important. And over here I have pointers and wipeout tools, and any other tool I'll need, like a scissors. I also have Q-tips for correction, and then I have my business cards right there. That's pretty much a pretty comprehensive set of supplies to always make sure you have. And then they clasp shut so that they do not open during transportation. And then I have 2 boxes, if you will, of paint. And so I'm bringing an average of 16 colors of paint with me, because each one of these will hold 8. 4 large or 4 small, or a combination of a maximum of 4 large and a bunch of small. My normal number of colors is 21, but there are some that I don't use out on there. And see how easily that fits? I have this organized so I can easily find it during setup and cleanup. With your students, if they help you, just tell them to put them on the table and you put them back, so you always have them and it's easier this way, because one of the nice things is you can take a look at this and see what colors you need to purchase again or restock from your inventory. So that's why I use these boxes. And I do the same thing for my brushes. I have 2, which are my landscape brushes. The 3 are what I call specialty brushes. They're the soft brushes for floral. They're the brushes I need for tall ships and pet portraits and so forth. And so they're easily packed and they fit nicely in the suitcase and they're organized. Your students, please, as a word of advice, your students, when they're getting ready to go home, just let them go home. If you try to get them to clean up for you and to put things, you're going to find dirty brushes right in the middle of a whole pile of clean brushes. So I basically tell them get up, and the best thing they could do is after they get up from their painting station is to go ahead and go home. And I'll take the extra 15 minutes that it takes for me to clean up everything. And especially if you're working with people of different age groups, like the elderly may not have the strength in their hands to do a proper cleaning, either by squeezing out the cleanser from the brush or by wrapping it against the beater rack. And that's very frequent. You need to be prepared to step up and do that. So it's better off to let them just go ahead and go home and you take over that chore. It only takes like 5 or 6 minutes to clean up a bunch of brushes. You can easily pull up the palettes that you have with all the paints on them and throw them away. You really don't need people doing a lot. And afterwards, what I like to do, especially if they're young children, I want to encourage them to go, and then when they go out, I've got a systematic approach that I've deployed over the years in how I clean up. And I'm actually a lot faster. People slow me down if they help. So I like them to just, leave the room, and then I can quickly clean up and get out, and I can make sure that my brushes are nice and clean and ready for the next class. As I put the brushes away, I can see which ones I need. I make a mental note of that, and then when I get home, all I have to do is replenish stock and change the brush cleaning equipment. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Now let's continue with the other supplies that we pack away. I also have 2 bucket clean. I use baby oil, and they're in a bucket with a little metal screen in the bottom. And you've seen that on my other videos. If not, please go watch one of my videos on how to clean brushes, and you'll see the whole setup. But I've got 2 of them. I take 2 of them with me to class. I also have baby wipes. It's so key for your people to keep their hands clean at all times. Clean hands means clean brushes, means clean clothes, and it means clean workstation. Less cleanup for you. Way over here, I've got a great big pile of stuff, and let me just walk over here for a second. I like to keep a notebook around, okay? And the reason I keep this notebook is if something happens in the class or I make a promise or something, I write it down. That way I can fulfill it. Also, it's a good way for people who want to get onto your mailing list for them to give you your address and email, and you've got a permanent record of that. I also like to give out paper pallets, and as opposed to a set of pallets. Now this one's getting pretty close to the end, but I generally carry 2 pads of this. One that's in use and one to be used. And there are 40 sheets in this, so if you have a sellout crowd and you're doing 15, you need to have one of these every 3 classes. So you find out what you're utilizing. I use a just a little less than, this is like a legal size, and it's all you need. You just put the colors down in class as I need them. I let the students put that amount because part of learning in my book is knowing how much paint to put down. And so I'll tell them how much paint, I'll show them. I bring my own artist easel, and the reason I like this is I could go ahead and hold it in any direction. I can walk around the classroom with it. It's small. It's just about the same size as the paper pallets, so the students don't feel too intimidated that mine's a little bit bigger than theirs. Okay, and then of course you have to bring along 16 canvases. Now, if you're going to supply up to 15 students, you need to have 16 sets of brushes, 16 canvases, and 16 easels. Now, I bring 15 student easels that we just showed you, but I also bring my own easel. I use a small wooden easel, and and what I did is I had one of my very bright, improvising, young, creative students, Mr. Page, and Mr. Page went ahead and built me a platform with telescopic legs so that I could go ahead and just set this wooden easel on, and so I can take it anywhere and I can stand comfortably, or I can use it sitting flat on the table. It doesn't matter, but that's my instructor easel. So the challenge is, how can we get all of these supplies into 2 easy carrying cases? Let me show you. I've experimented with probably 100 different carrying cases on what makes best sense for an instructor to use day after day after day. And this by and far is my recommendation. Now, there's a few reasons for it. Number one, it closes so I can tip it in any angle in the car and the products are not going to spill out. They're not going to fly all over the place, and I'm going to spend more time picking things up instead of just unloading it and bringing it to the class. The thing that I look for was, number one, wheels. Okay, let's take a look at these wheels. I wanted 4 wheels. I wanted this cart to wheel easily over just about any kind of a terrain, because a lot of times I'm going up curves, down steps, maybe not a lot of steps, just 3 or 4 steps or so forth. So I wanted it to be able to turn around. I go over pavement, I go over asphalt, I go over gravel, I go over a lot of things. And also it had to turn around. So see those wheels, how easily they turn? If they were hard, I wouldn't like it. It had to have a support handle so that just about any angle I grabbed this bag to move it in and out of the car or around the classroom, I've got instant access, even while I'm loading. The other thing that was important was compartments. I only wanted 2 compartments. I wanted, first, easy access right here at the top, because when I open this up, I want to be able to put important items into it that I can quickly get to, like my tube bringer, and that'll just sit right there. So this becomes my tools. If I have a pair of pliers, I'll put that in there. If I have these sponge brushes, I'll put these in, okay? And then I can zip them up. Now, I'm such a fanatic that I always have the zippers coming up. You do not have to follow that, but I just wanted to show you this particular compartment has a purpose. What I wanted was to be able to have a slim compartment like this so that I could put in my bags, okay? Because when I set up, I want to be able to quickly pull out the bags that we're going to use. So I don't really collect them in the granny bag anymore. I use that for the studio, just hang it up and they use it. But I didn't want to show you 50 different little bags all loose. So I'll just go ahead and stuff the bags I want in there. And my family knows the minute anybody goes shopping, they got a bag, put it in here. And then again, I seal it up. So I've got tools and bags right here. Now, another thing that's key, and let me just turn this over to show you, is you see this zipper? It expands, okay? So if I need another 1/2 inch, I can easily get that just by unzipping this around there. That's important if for some reason I have to bring some additional supplies. And so I always look for that. Let me show you how I load the inside. This is what I call my easel compartment, okay? The whole key is first putting in the instructor easel. As you can see, I've been doing this for a while, and so I just take the wooden easel and it slides right in. Now, once in a while, you might not have tightened up a screw, and something like that will happen, and that's okay. Just don't worry about it, just keep moving on. All right, so we've got the easel in. The next thing to do is to take a couple of rolls of paper towel and see how they sit. Okay, Now I know a lot of people are going to ask me where I got my easel from, and I'll save you the trouble. I got it from Cheap Joe's. Cheap Joe's is a nice online art supply, and they have a special small box that I like. But there's a lot of different ones. Many of them are a little bit longer, and they have a wider profile, and they'll sit. But I had to build my own platform for it to sit on at the height that I'm comfortable. So after I've got the paper towels up to about the height I need, I now start in this space that we have here between the master easel and the wall. I put in my 15 small little metal easels, and they work just really fine. The thing to do is it may take you a couple times to figure out how to pack your suitcases, but I think you'll find that it's well worth the time that you invest. Okay, and see, I'm almost got all 15 in, and we're almost to the top, and we still have plenty of room in this bag. And that's good because we have a couple of more things. Now I'm going to lay this slightly over the wooden easel right there. So now I've got 16 easels in here. I got the master and the 15 short, and I still have 2 more things to do, which are my 2 rolls of paper towel. See how nice and tight? And I still have room if I really needed other things to put right there. So once that's done, all I do is go ahead and zipper it up. And again, I'm like to have the zippers on top. The reason why I do that, it doesn't really matter where the zippers are, just put them in the same spot so you can easily look at the bag and see which ones are closed and which ones are open, because nothing hurts more than picking up a suitcase that you want to pull out of your car in which the zippers are open. Let's go to the, okay, so this takes care of the easels. How do we get the rest of the supplies into the second one? This is the second bag. It's identical to the first one. And up here, I put in my tapes. All right, and I'll go ahead and close them up. And just that, again. And now I also want to be able to put my palette in here. So I take my paper palette pad, my notebook, and my instructor easel. And the instructor easel will not fit in here, but we'll go ahead and put everything else. All right? And then we come up here, and this is done. Nice and tidy. Unzip the suitcase top. The very first thing I do is, I don't know if you can see this, but on this back flap here, I just unzip this mesh net, slide in my instructor easel, or not easel, but palette. Okay, now I'm ready to go to town. I like to put the heaviest products on the bottom. So there's the mediums, and that will go right there up against the bottom. So I'll just put them up like that. And then we'll take the next set of paints. The next set of paints, so I've got 3 trays sitting right there. Now I have 3 brush sets. It really doesn't matter the sequence in which you put them. So I've got all 3 of them sitting here, and I'll go ahead and just set them right in. See how easy that is? Now, as far as the suitcase, there's suitcases come in many sizes. They have really a small carry-on size. They have what you call a medium size, and they have a much larger size. And this is the medium-sized suitcase. The reason I use the medium and not the large is because, quite frankly, I'm a weakling. I just can't pick up the big ones all the time. And I have certain obstacles when I'm unloading and loading the car, and sometimes I have to carry them up 2 or 3 flights of steps. So I've distributed the weight so that I can easily carry it. If you can make it easy for yourself, make it easy for yourself. The only thing easier than this is having one of your kids, grandkids, or slaves go ahead and carry it for you. Slave part was a joke. I don't want anybody to think I hire slaves. Okay, So with that, if I want to put some extra medium in here or gesso, I've got room for them right here. See, everything just fits in nicely. And you've got plenty of space. The heavy is on the bottom and the lighter products are on the top. Then all we have to do is close her up and zip her up. And there's plenty of room. We don't even have to go to the excess expander. So let's see how we carry canvases. Now, I use 11 by 14 inch canvases in most of my classes. The reason that I do that is it's a very popular size for people because they always have room to hang it on their wall. They get a little bit concerned, quite honestly, if they're always filling up 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvases, which I know a lot of students like myself used to use predominantly. I've gone to the smaller sizes. People are a lot happier and they seem to have enough time with only a 3-hour class to be able to finish the painting. So what I do is I make sure I bring 16 of these canvases because I also have to have one for myself. And the way I've done it is I've got a milk crate here, as you can see. It's got lots of holes so I can grab it at any angle and I just stick it in the back. Now, if you have your students bring their own canvas, this is a step you can totally skip. I can actually put far more. I can put up to 22 canvases, okay, in here. I have 18 here right now. I generally like to bring only the amount that I'm going to use for that day or maximum capacity of the classroom. The reason I say this is because if you're bringing art pencils and paints and brushes sufficient for 15, 16 students, then that's pretty much where you need to limit yourself. Because even if 17, 18, and 19 come in, you're not going to be able to help them because you won't have all the supplies. But this carries nice and easily. You can go ahead and easily carry this. Now there's another advantage to using this milk crate, and I'll tell it to you. Let's say you had a class of 12 students, okay? So that'd be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, it's time to pack up and go home. Those 12 are gone. You just go ahead and lay this down, just like that. And here's the best part. You have an automatic wet canvas carrier. You can take if you did not sell it or give it away or auction it off, and you can put it right there on top, and it's a perfect wet canvas carrier. Let's see the very last thing we need to worry about. Well, the very last thing to do is pack away our cleaning materials, okay? We've got our 2 big suitcases with 95% of our supplies. We've got a canvas carrier and now a dirty brush cleaner. And this is 2 buckets full of baby oil in a plastic bag with a mesh screen on it. And if you don't know how we clean our brushes, we've got a couple of videos on YouTube that you can easily take a look at. We've got articles written on our website at Daryl. That was funny. I love that. I know everybody out there is going to go to Daryl. Actually, it's www.darylcrow.com. And if you look under art supplies and click on one of those, you'll find a place where we give you the suggested list. We also have painting tips on our website with some 3,000 tips written and that talk about how to clean and care for your brushes. Okay, but your job today is to learn how to carry all of that. So what I do is I take a cooler. This is a Coleman cooler. It's made for soda bottles, for wine bottles, long bottles. And all I do is put the beater rack inside, which is just a refrigerator rack, and I'll open it up and I'll just sit them right inside. Now the thing I like about this is that the bucket right here is sealed twice. Once with the Ziploc bag that holds the baby oil in it, and the second one is the pry-proof lid that we have right here. And the third level of protection is the cooler itself because it's got a nice lid that you can snap shut. And now you can go off to party time. So instructors, there you are, an easy way to pack up. What I like about getting this down to such a small, convenient size is that you can use a very small car. I have one of Chevrolet's smallest cars, which is called an HHR. I don't know the equivalent in other countries, but everything fits here in the back space. I do not have to lay down any seats, and it takes seconds to unload, seconds to load. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video tip today, and by all means, visit us at darylcrow.com. But more importantly, if you've got a question about painting, about being an art instructor, about being an art student, give us an email at daryl@darylcrow.com. Send us your question, and you know what? We're going to do two things for you. First off, we're going to answer the question, and second, we've got a nice gift that we want to give you. It's a beautiful lesson. I think you'll enjoy it. I'm Daryl Crow, and yes, you can paint.